Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Nisha Patek, and I lead the partnerships team at Indiegogo. We are very excited to have you all here to learn more about the Aero certification program. A few housekeeping details. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available after the session has ended. As always, we will have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a very specific question about your product, we may not address it here, but you can absolutely connect with us after the webinar. First, I want to start with a quick background on our partnership with Aero Electronics. Aero is one of Indiegogo's entrepreneur services partners. Through our partnership program, the Aero certification program, Aero and Indiegogo provide tech entrepreneurs the tools they need to bring their product ideas to life. That may seem like a lot because, well, it is. Joining me today is Rachel Laborni, who is my friend and colleague on the business development team at Aero, who's going to break things down for you. With that, I will let Rachel take it away.
Perfect. Thank you for that great intro, Nisha. I am excited to talk with all of you today and give you a little bit of background on what we're trying to accomplish. Hopefully there'll be some good time for questions. I know we have people all over the globe dialing in, so let me know where you're visiting from and listening from, and hopefully we can kind of jump into your questions later in the presentation. So I'm a numbers person, to be honest. I'm going to start you off with a little bit of how the program is performing from a high-level program. So we have had over 8,000 people actually opt into our program. This has been phenomenal. Our program is actually only almost 2 years old, so we see this as a huge success. These are 8,000 individual projects. These are 8,000 people who are thinking about launching campaigns or have launched campaigns on Indiegogo. And these are 8,000 ideas that we are hoping to continue to make successful. What we have found is, as exciting as it is for us to see these campaigns and these projects come through, we're finding that there's some real tangible benefit for the people who are opting into our program as well, where they're raising 84% more money on the Indiegogo platform. They're 4.5 times more likely to actually hit their goal that they've set on Indiegogo. And with that, we've been able to give away almost a little over $1.4 million in flash funding through the Aero certification program. So it's very exciting. These are big numbers, and we continue to see them grow, and that's what makes this a lot of fun. Your project, and what you're trying to develop, we want to be a part of that too. So we're going to kind of jump into some of those questions and see if we can make sure that you are successful as well. This question we get all the time. Where do I need to be? What stage does my project need to be at before we can actually qualify for the Aero certification program? And I got to tell you, it's never too early and it is never too late to get involved with the program. At any stage, whether you're thinking about something, you have something on the back of a napkin, you took a shower this morning and you have this great idea, whatever that is, if you're that early, if you're already prototyping, which is kind of the fun part, you actually finished your prototype and now you have to get it to production, which is the hard part. And then if you're ready to iterate and do something different, or add a Bluetooth module or make it IoT connected, whatever that is, we'll be there along the way for you to actually accomplish your goals. We actually also can be involved even at the end of your product's life cycle. So when you're actually ready to get it off the market, we can recover the value and we can help actually get your business recover some value for you as well in the projects that you're creating. So no matter your stage, this program is for you, particularly when we are talking about electronic products, hardware products, software products. It's hard, that is really the bread and butter of what we're doing, and that's where we have the most success. Next slide. I'm sorry, I'm learning this platform. All right. Some people say, really, Rachel, what is in it for you guys? What's your goal in this program? And to be honest with you, it's much easier if I just took snippets from our Chief Digital Officer and from Slava Rubin, who is the founder of Indiegogo. Really, truly, our goal is to help turn your ideas into a reality. This partnership with Indiegogo has been very mutually beneficial because Indiegogo has done a fantastic job at bringing along partners to help make people successful and make sure that it's not just a crowdfunding platform, but that they connect you with experts and they connect you with resources to actually get your project where you want it to go. So that's that from Indiegogo's side. This made a lot of sense to pull us on board. And then from our side, this is what we've done for a very long time. Arrow is probably one of those companies that's really big that you've never really heard of. And because of that, you don't always know everything that we can offer. And so this program kind of slices it up in an easily digestible way to be able to walk you through it, and we have people on board to actually do that. To be honest with you, we are not successful unless you are successful. We don't make, there's no requirement to pay to join this program, which I think is my next slide. Oh, not just yet, but soon. And then, but as long as you're successful, that's when we actually are successful. So when people join the program, there's literally a form on arrow.com or on indiegogo.com that you can fill out to enter the program. And initially, you get benefits right away. So the first thing that you get is 10% off and free shipping on arrow.com. So if you were looking for parts to start prototyping or you wanted to get something in, you can automatically start using that coupon code that gets mailed to you. You get access to IBM Cloud. That's one of our key partners on the program. You get access to using our BOM tool that we have. It's a pretty cool tool. It'll tell you about availability, it'll tell you about part change notifications, alternates, crosses, etc. And then we also have a partnership with OrCAD Entrepreneur Package where you can actually do some of your CAD design, board layout, that kind of thing directly on our site. So those automatically get given to you, and then you have access to talk to one of our engineers. So we have engineers all over the globe. We have a big chunk of them here. I'm in Denver, Colorado. We have some in Budapest. We have a couple in Hong Kong. And all of these engineers kind of help cover regionally what we're trying to accomplish. You can get on the phone and talk to them about your project. What do you need to think about next? Let's look at your architecture. Let's figure out if you've thought about your power or your interconnect. And that's what they're there for, to actually make your idea a reality and make sure that you can actually get this off the ground. Like I said, it doesn't actually cost money to join this program. It's a very simple process to just fill it out. There's no obligation to purchase anything from us. So this may sound like a sales pitch for Arrow, and I'm going to be a little biased. Of course, I actually work at Arrow, so it's a tad bit of a sales pitch. But honestly, joining the program, there's no requirement to actually buy from us. We hope that we add some value to your bill of materials. We hope that we add value to your design and that you'll want to keep working with us. The more you learn about what we can offer, the more I think that you'll want to be involved with what we can do for you. But one thing you should know is that we will not take any of your IP. This is your idea. This is what you're building. We have NDAs at the beginning. So all of our company, our 18,000 employees across the globe, are all held under that NDA that we're not going to take these ideas and do something outside of that. But it is still your IP. And that's very important to recognize. I think that's one of the big concerns that we get or questions that come out of this. So jumping into some of these benefits, this one-on-one engineering consultation. So we talked about this. You can join the program, start talking with our engineers. We do a full design review. Basically, this is talking about anything that you need to select. We can talk about your block diagrams. We can talk about your schematics, and then start building that bill of materials. We've done a couple of webinars on Indiegogo specific to how you build your bill of materials, and then how do you get this into prototyping. And I know that there will be links all on the website, so you can check these out too. But this is a free service to you, and then we have engineers online 24/7. So I know a lot of you guys are probably up into the middle of the night thinking about and building and creating this project, and we've got engineers who can answer some questions as you're going through that. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's available to you as part of the program. So you don't have to take my word for it. We pulled in a few quotes and testimonials from some of the campaigners that we've worked with. Bencents is one. They worked out of San Francisco. That's where they're based. Bencents really, they came to us pretty early when we started the program. They raised over $260,000 in crowdfunding, and they've already been in shipping over the last 6 months. But what they came to us was try to just get opinions on what should they be thinking about on their project. Some of you may have this pretty far along, and I know I'm talking about design and BOM review, and then I said we can help anywhere. Bencents is a good example. They kind of had a bill of materials that they were working through. They didn't need us to have to do all of the initial design, but they wanted some opinions on how they could make it better and how they could enhance it. So Bencents is a thing you put around your license plate, and you can make any car have a sensor, basically. I don't know about you, but if you've got that one car that you can't give up that you've had for 16 years, but you really could use a sensor so you don't hit anything, that's the idea behind Bencents. These guys, it's been really fun to work with them as we continue to see them progress in the marketplace and develop new iterations around what they've created. So then you say, wait, how do I actually get certified? So I submit it, I start getting benefits, and then what? I can talk to an engineer, and I can start talking about what other services Arrow has, but what does it really require? And really what we ask for is a bill of materials that is feasible for manufacturing. So whatever you have, whatever design documentation you have, you can submit that, and then our engineers review it for production-ready value. We are absolutely just reviewing your design to make sure that your design is feasible. We don't need anything else. We don't need your massive business plan or all your financials. We're not interested necessarily in that. What we're interested in is making sure that that design is going to make it if you actually wanted to create it. So you submit your bill of materials, and then you do have to talk to one of our engineers and just go through it. But they'll review all the architecture, and there's a lot of value in having them actually look at your bill of materials. We're looking for parts that might go end of life. We were looking for parts that might have a really long lead time that you need to be aware of. We were looking for alternates from a price standpoint that might make more sense for you. So there's a lot of value in having another person actually just look through it. And because Arrow itself doesn't actually manufacture any of these parts, we are really a technology solution provider. So we can look across all of our massive line card with all of our manufacturers that we work with and make sure we find the right part that suits your needs. So that's one value in working with a company like Arrow, is that we ourselves don't manufacture individual components and products or cloud services. We leverage all the partners to find the best ones to fit each customer's needs. One of these campaigns, and you guys maybe have heard of them, EverSleep. They are actually based here in Colorado, so it's been kind of fun to see their project and touch it. But one of the things that they really needed help with is they had a part that was going EOL, and actually, really, they just couldn't find it on the market. It was, I believe it was an accelerometer, and they wanted to try and find a replacement, but they had something pretty custom in their design that needed to, they needed to find it so that way they could hit their delivery dates. A lot of those dates, when people put them up on Indiegogo, they're not always taking into account the full lead time or what it's going to take to require it, if there's any shortages in the market. And this was a challenge for EverSleep because they really wanted to hit their target date. Even as it was, the part availability really kind of limited us in how we were going to be able to get to their initial date that they set. And we were able to take it and take their whole BOM, and we did a whole lot of work for them to figure out where it was. And even David from EverSleep said, man, they did all the footwork for us. It saved us a lot of energy and effort, and that's been the continual message that we hear from campaigners, is that, like, let us do the work for you. Bring us your problems. We like your problems, and we can help you solve them. We've talked a little bit about the initial benefits and why you want us to review your BOM, but then what happens when you actually get certified? When you do get certified, so let's say you've talked with our engineer, you've given us your bill of materials, that bill of materials is feasible and ready for manufacturing. What do you get then? What does certified even mean? And these are the benefits that we have structured specifically for you once you've achieved that. So one, we give you $1,000 that you can use on any of our online platforms to buy Arrow components and services. We give you some marketing promotion. We have lists. We have our own entrepreneur newsletters and things like that that go out, social posts, etc. And then I'm going to skip the middle one and then come back to it. You get manufacturing support, supply chain, and logistics support. We've talked a little bit about thinking about lead time and getting things there, and Arrow can do all of that. Arrow can do the sourcing, the procurement. We do a lot of inventory management for our customers, and then we do rapid prototyping and getting it into production, and then obviously we can ship it wherever you want it to go. And then we get a badge that actually goes onto your Indiegogo campaign page. Remember earlier on when I was saying I'm a big numbers person? So when you have that badge, it said we've seen that people are raising more money. It's building credibility for your product. And I think that's one of the major things that's hard in crowdfunding, is making sure that you're getting your message out and you're articulating that you know what you're building. And this badge is trying to help support that and trying to support your initiatives. So by giving it this badge to say, yep, this is actually feasible for manufacturing, backers are responding really well to that. And there's no reason not to go for the badge, because why not put it on your page and see if you can raise a little bit more money for that. All right, the one in the middle that I skipped that you guys are probably most excited about is this chance to win flash funding. So you have to actually get certified before you can be eligible to win this. But we have given away $1.4 million. We're going to talk a little bit more about flash funding. I know that's a fun one, and it's fun for me too. And we're actually on this call, so stay tuned. We're going to announce our next winner of flash funding in just a little bit. So hang on tight. It's gonna be fun. Stemis. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I've got a few case studies in here, and I don't have to spend a ton of time on each of them, but I think it's important to know what we've been doing. So Stemis, we've actually helped them really grow their business. So these guys raised about $187,000. They're based in New York City. They're actually in demand right now, if anybody's interested. And what they really struggled with was figuring out like lead times and figuring out how to make sure these things could go. He even said, this is Donald, we had him with us at CES this year, but he talked about a lot of the products that they required had these very long lead times. And what we tried to do was make sure that we could get as much as we could on short notice. And ideally, they even said that we cut some of those wait times by about 50% by our involvement and our review of what they were trying to do, which is huge. I mean, if you think about time as a startup, and you guys know this, I don't have to tell you, it's hard to estimate how long it's going to take, and everything that you think is going to take one section, it takes an inch, it could take you a mile to actually accomplish that goal. And Arrow is just trying to provide support to help cut those times down for you as best as we can. WaterBot, this is one of my favorites. So this is Chris Richter from WaterBot. They're based in Wisconsin. They have a water quality monitor that you can use kind of from a consumer standpoint, but it also has a big industrial play. We literally did all of their prototypes for them. So they gave us their drawings, they gave us what they were trying to create, and then we were able to help them with their IoT support, because basically what it does is it monitors the quality and then feeds it back to an app so you can see what's actually inside of your water. And so, I mean, be careful what you ask for. I don't know if you really want to know, but this product can tell you. So WaterBot's been a really fun one to work with. Knocky really leveraged the brand and leveraged that badge. So it was important to them that they actually could get it on there. They could see that they could build some credibility on the Indiegogo platform. And it was one of the reasons why they really wanted to make sure that they moved their product onto the Indiegogo platform. These guys were helping them right now actually get things produced. And it's always funny because you want to engage with us as soon as you can. It's hard sometimes when you think you have a plan and then you realize it doesn't always go as initially planned. That's definitely some of the story around Knocky. They've come to us, we're helping them, we're going to get this going, and ideally keep getting this into mass production. So Knocky was one of our flash funding winners. Touchpoints, this was really interesting because it was really all around sourcing and trying to find those necessary parts that made sense. So Touchpoints is the band that you wear on your wrist, and it helps to alleviate stress. So think of it like if you put it on and it's something that kind of just gives you a calming sensation, and it's been pretty tested. It's pretty cool. But Vicky has worked with us for a while. She's based in Arizona, and she even took advantage of some of the discounts that we had through our program. And for sure, she always says, like, no matter what it is, whether we're adding a new feature or whatever we're trying to require, it's nice to have somebody who can do some of that sourcing on our behalf and weigh in. And that's really our intention. We try to be as unbiased as we can and bring whatever necessary parts you need to solve your project ahead of it. Now, my last case study for you at the moment before we get too further into flash funding, which I know you're all hanging on for. This is Anywhere. Anywhere is a light bulb adapter. You can plug it into any light socket, and these guys are based in Denmark. They built one for the US sockets and the Europe sockets as well. But it's not just a smart lighting control. It also has temperature sensors, climate sensors, and sound. So some people even could use it as like a baby monitor. You could hear sounds going on in the other room, and it feeds directly to an app on your phone. So it's actually a pretty cool device. And what was interesting about Anywhere, and they would say this, is they went down one whole path with kind of trying to pursue their own CMs and have their own initial plan, and it didn't turn out like they thought it would. Arrow just stayed by them, just checked in. We just kept asking if they needed anything to let us know. And honestly, this has been a big learning for Anywhere in terms of trying to pull on a trusted advisor early on. And they recognized that Arrow was committed to them. And we weren't even getting sales from them, but we were just interested in asking what else we could do to help them be successful because they weren't able to launch their product yet. And we just kept asking and seeing if there was anything else. And they recognized that the real true value of having someone who cares about your success mattered. And so they pulled a lot of what they were trying to do, and they're going to run their next level of production through many of our partners and get it into full manufacturing. So these are just a few examples, and I know your situation is probably unique in what you need, and we know that. There's no one entrepreneur way, there's no one specific perfect case study that matches exactly where you're at. But no matter where it is, I hope you just kind of saw through these. All of these products were very different, but we still are committed to making sure that no matter what it is or where you are in that, whether these guys were on their iteration for their second one or if it was very early on where we did the full prototype, it really doesn't matter, and we want to help you. Okay, thank you for hanging on. To flash funding. So flash funding, just from my standpoint, and then I'm going to kind of let Nisha help me do the big reveal. But flash funding, as I said, you have to be certified to actually win flash funding. There is some geography restrictions that are based up on our website, but basically US and Canada and some select European countries are eligible. We're working on expanding that list. There's more to it than I can just pick countries out of a hat. I have to do a little bit more work, but right now that's where it's limited to. And you have to have a campaign on Indiegogo to actually win flash funding. Now that could be in funding mode, or that could be in demand, so you have to actually be raising money. But those are the 3 requirements, and if you meet those 3 requirements, you're listening now and you say, I am all 3 of those, then you are absolutely eligible to win flash funding. We take everyone who's eligible in that pool, and we put it in front of Indiegogo employees, Arrow employees, and we're voting on the most innovative, the ones that have the biggest impact to people's lives, and the most marketable. So those 3 things we look at, and that kind of determines who's actually going to win. If you don't win one round, you're still eligible the next round as long as you still meet those 3 criteria. So I know there'll probably be more questions on that, but hopefully that at least starts us off on the path. And Nisha, I don't know if you're ready, but I think this audience is ready to hear who the winner's going to be.
All right, so I am very excited to announce that our newest flash funding winner is Waggett. So Waggett actually today, this morning, won $50,000 through the Arrow certification program in flash funding. So we're actually really excited to have Susan Sirota, founder of Waggett, founder and CEO of Waggett, here on the webinar with us today. And with that, I'm actually going to have Susan really quickly say hi and introduce herself, and then I'll ask you a couple questions, Susan.
Awesome. Thank you, Nisha. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here. This has just been amazing, and excited to answer any questions you guys throw me.
Awesome. So I know you won flash funding this morning, so that's exciting. Your product was chosen on its basis of innovation, impact to people's lives, and marketability. So how do you feel?
I was so excited. I screamed and jumped up and down, and my dog thought I was crazy and something was wrong. But I think everyone probably on this call knows how you put everything into something you're building, and to have you all recognize that what we're doing is awesome and matters is just so amazing.
Awesome. In a nutshell, can you briefly explain what Waggett is?
Yes, Waggett is a dog collar that helps early identification of illness in time to make a difference. Think about it as an Owlet baby monitor wrapped in an Apple Watch.
Very cool. How did you come up with the idea? What was kind of the basis for creating Waggett?
So, like most pet parents, my dogs have always been my entire family, or part of the family, and mine have been my entire. And I went through this period of time where I was having back surgeries and would walk with my friends holding on to their arm like I was a grandma, because my leg would give out and it would help me from falling. And my dog, Mulligan, was always with me. And it was a few days before one of my surgeries, and I was at the lowest point of my life, purely from pain. And I fell so hard. And he came over and helped me up, hopped on his back paws, and put his on my arm and started hopping with me. And of course it didn't work. His weight was on me, but I went from that lowest point of my life to laughing out loud and feeling so loved. And I said at that moment, they just figure it out, no matter what we need. And I lost him too early, and my co-founder lost hers to cancer too early. We were drinking wine and talking about how it's not fair that no one's figured it out for them yet. And that was the day Waggett was born.
That's an incredible story. We are all dog people here at Indiegogo. We actually have dogs around our office, which is always fun. And I know the Arrow team, I see Rachel smiling over there, the Arrow team are pretty much all dog owners themselves. So that's incredible. What was it like, Susan, working with Arrow in the Arrow certification program?
I cannot say enough how amazing it is and how super grateful I am every day for the partnership. The key thing to me is that Arrow truly works with us like this is their business too. We have some crazy timelines because we have the normal delays and we want to make it up, and they're pushing their resources to help us meet those with a lower cost and higher quality, and they really do act like they have skin in the game like we do.
That's incredible. What challenges were you facing when you started working with Arrow, and how did Arrow help?
Oh gosh, so there's been several. I'll hit on the two biggest ones. The first one Rachel mentioned was securing all components. She talked about how there was over 50% decrease in timing. I think our percent decrease was bigger than that. We had some items that had a 46-week lead time. I mean, the components are getting harder and harder to get, and we got them in 12 and a half weeks without paying that huge premium that you have to do for one-offs. They got us at that same cost, really making this doable. And if it weren't for that, right, you can't make it if you don't have one component. And so that was incredible, and to help us plan out what we need to do as we grow has been incredible. The other big challenge we met is we had a contract manufacturer who was helping us with some of our mechanical as well as our PCB work, and unfortunately they had committed to a timeline and a cost, and they came to us 2 weeks later and said that they couldn't get access to a material that was needed. It's only available 2 places in the world, and they just are going to have to delay for 3 weeks. And so we called Arrow, and they got us hooked up with AMSS, who's now one of our lead CMs, who was able to secure the material, able to do it on our timing, and actually was coming in at $1.50 less than what we were paying per unit. So when I talk about like the partnership and saying that this is their challenge, there are some hoops jumped through to make that happen. And it's just awesome to have that level of power and support being a startup. Having someone with some muscle behind them really can help.
That's incredible. I'm so glad Arrow was able to help. How are you going to use those flash funding funds? What's that going to help you with kind of in the short term and maybe long term?
So we are going to use them to create our tooling and some of our components. And I would say on top of the dollars, which is amazing and so needed, probably everyone on this webinar knows is counting pennies every day. And so to be able to actually get the components in our prototyping to make sure we make our date is awesome. I will hit on the fact that all of the extra PR from Indiegogo and Arrow is also incredible, because getting the word out on Waggett is really what we need to do long term, and that support that comes with that funding is equally as awesome. Well, maybe not equally, but pretty awesome. Money's always king.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much, Susan. We're going to keep you on deck a little bit later for some Q&A from all our attendees. But for now, I will pass it back to Rachel.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I had to laugh when she asked you how you're going to use the money, because this is one thing you guys should know. We actually don't require you to spend that money back with Arrow. So it's always like, hopefully it's back invested in the product. But this is it's a cash prize that goes right into the Indiegogo campaign, and the campaigner gets to decide the best use for using it. And so I'm excited, Susan, for you guys. Arrow's very excited for Waggett. And yeah, we all want one, so I can't wait till you build it and it's all together, and hopefully that $50,000 gets us there as close as we can. So you've heard a ton about the program. This is a slide on how you join. It's actually fairly easy to find, but if you go online on Indiegogo.com, this is the address, enterprise.indiegogo.com/arrow. If you go to the Arrow site, it's arrow.com/Indiegogo. It's all the same. The forms are identical, and it goes to the same place. And if you want to email to reach out for additional questions, or if you're having any trouble finding the form or joining the program, just email arw@indiegogo.com. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the new opportunities coming up. I know that there are some questions that have been coming through, and we're going to take some time here in a little bit. I think we've allocated lots of time for questions, so not to worry. If I haven't addressed it yet, we will. But I'm going to talk to you about a few we have going on right now. So there is an Internet of Arduino challenge, is what we're calling it. But genuinely, Arrow is giving away $50,000 in funding to the best Arduino project. We talk about one of these ones, a company that we worked with called Tursa. Tersa started building, it's basically a steamer. It's like a cabinet that you can put on your wall and put all of your clothes into it and then shut it, and all of your clothes are steamed. It's magic, I don't know. But anyway, this Tersa was one of these ones that we've worked with, and we kind of helped them actually get this going. They started it on an Arduino, and then they're going to scale from there. We know that a lot of these great ideas start on an Arduino platform. So if you have an idea and you've actually started building it off of the Arduino from the beginning, and that's what you're trying to create, we have a contest running just specifically for Arduino projects. This is the link. I know that we're going to copy this deck. It's also featured on our website. Indiegogo's run a few ads for it, but this is genuinely an additional contest that we're promoting through the program. There's more details and all of those specifics to come, and we'll make sure you have them. We have a, this will be exciting, we're running a promotion and a contest to win a trip to join us at CES in 2019. If you've never been to CES, I don't even know. That looked like I froze, but it is that amazing. I don't even know what the right word is. It's pretty spectacular. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But to get the word out about your product, to start promoting what you're doing, there's no better place than right there at CES. And Arrow will have a presence. Indiegogo will have a presence. We work very closely together to make sure that we represent a lot of our entrepreneurs and give them a chance to share their stories. So if you're interested in winning a trip to CES, to be honest, the very first thing you should do is join the program. Join the program, get certified, get through this, get the badge that you're going to put on your Indiegogo campaign page, and then there will be a follow-up form to everybody who's on this webinar, so that way you know how you actually can make sure you apply to be a part of this winning the trip to CES. And then the last one I have on here from a new or current ops, just so you know, is around something we're calling the Hardware Startup Bootcamp. And I saw a couple questions on software, and I want to get to those in a little bit. But this is for people who are trying to build that product from crowdfunding to prototyping and beyond, want to kind of do deep dives into your specific project. This will be hosted at the end of July, and if you are interested in joining, I'll be out there. A couple of our engineers will be out there from Arrow. We'll pull in people from the local area. And if you want to just sit and kind of spend a little bit more time getting support on what you are going through, this is free. But we do need people to apply because we have only so much space. So that will also be in the follow-up email to all of you who are on this webinar if this is something that you're interested in and want to dig into. All right.
Awesome.
We are up to questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. I will be fielding questions, so if you have any, please just put them in the chat box as you have already been doing. And we'll start with some of the ones that came in earlier. So Rachel, you touched upon this a little bit, but we had a couple folks ask about software-only products and businesses. So is the Arrow certification program applicable to software-only?
Yeah, so if you have a software-only project, and I know I've talked a lot about hardware, every single example that I showed you was a hardware campaign. If it is a software-only project, we still have support to help you. We've got a massive cloud infrastructure team that works on trying to make sure you've got the right place to build this out, depending on what you need in order to get certified. So we talked a lot about getting certified with a bill of materials. It doesn't work that way with software. But in order to get certified with a software campaign, you have to have a working demo and show any documentation around what you've created. So if you have an idea for a connected app, even though that probably still has some hardware, but pretending, you'd still have to show that it works in order, a working demo, in order for it to actually get the badge put on your campaign page. So the program's still available to you. You still can take advantage of a lot of those benefits. And we have engineers who can talk through just what else you should be thinking about, from data security, privacy, storage, analytics. One of our partners, being IBM, is super great at some of their platforms that they've built around analyzing data and putting it into a useful thing for you to actually build something off of, or give the user any needed information. We talked a little bit about that with WaterBot, but nonetheless, so if you have only software, this program, you still can take advantage of it, and you'd have to show a working demo to actually get certified.
Great, thank you. Kind of going back to submitting your bill of materials and actually submitting your design to Arrow. So we had someone ask about registering the design. So does Arrow register my design as a result of sending over our bill of materials? What are the implications for this? What does design registration really mean?
So we maybe call design registration something a little bit different on our end, but if we're talking about patent information or anything like that where you're trying to register it, Arrow has partners that do that, so we don't take it outside of our walls in terms of what you may need from a registration, or if you're talking about different types of governmental certifications and registrations from that standpoint. Now, when we talk about design registrations, we look for something that we're trying to secure best pricing on components for your project. So if you have submitted your idea to Arrow, we do work with our franchise lines and some of our key tech partners like TE or ADI, and we take those and we try to make sure that we pull in the best ones and secure solid pricing, and we call those design registrations. So if you've worked with some of our engineers, that's what we're meaning by saying that we'd like to register some of the components, and that really is to make sure that we've secured the best pricing, but that's more of a internal process. So if you're working with an engineer or somebody said that, feel free to ask them questions on what they're talking about around registrations. Arrow doesn't take it and register it with the government or anything like that, but we do do our best to make sure that we're securing pricing and get you the best source and the best parts.
Awesome, thank you. In terms of IP, because I know our entrepreneurs definitely, want to keep their IP pretty close, play it pretty close to the chest, if you will. In terms of IP, what kind of, input does Arrow have? Are entrepreneurs kind of giving up their IP by working with Arrow?
Yeah, we get this question a lot. So a lot of people want to know if we're asking for design documentation, will it be protected, and is Arrow going to take it and go create this? And the answer is no. We are not interested in your IP. We're not interested in taking your idea. That really is not our core business. Our core business is making sure that we actually help you build what your IP is. We absolutely sign an NDA with you, and we will talk with you about what you've designed. But we're not doing your design for you in this because it's your design. So when you're coming into our project, we're expecting that you're going to do a lot of this design, but we're happy to help and coach you along the way, steer you where you need to be, but Arrow doesn't take any IP because it's not our design, it's your design.
Great. Related to the NDA, we had a couple entrepreneurs who kind of started with the process. They've signed NDAs with Arrow, and I'm wondering what's next. So maybe can you talk a little bit to the timeline of engaging with Arrow and what folks can expect?
Awesome. So most likely, if you've already got the NDA, you filled out the application form online, and then you received an email from someone on my team who is reaching out to say, hey, provide any documentation that you have, and here's a link to our mutual NDA. So most likely, you've already heard from somebody who works directly for me on the team. So if you did, next steps would be, if you've just done the NDA, if you need to get an engineering consultation scheduled, feel free to reach back out on that email indiegogo@arrow.com. But if you're send over any of the documentation that you have. If you don't have any documentation yet and you're just getting going because you had this idea this morning, or you've been thinking about this on however it came to you, you don't quite have any schematics or whatnot, not a problem. We're still happy to talk with you. So you should have, if you got the NDA link, then you probably have a contact on my team that you can reach back to. If you don't remember who that is, feel free to email indiegogo@arrow.com. So that's going to be ARROW.com. Shoot them a note, and we can get you in touch with an engineer and keep it moving. Again, like I said before, we know everybody has custom needs and has very specific things that they're going through in their product development and where they are in their product life cycle even. So wherever that is, you are more than welcome to always reach out and kind of get connected with somebody at the right stage for you. So that would be my best suggestion. Either respond back to that email that you received, or feel free to email that indiegogo@arrow.com.
Cool, and I think that actually answered Anthony's question as well. He just asked, my fellow engineer is no longer available or having difficult kind of contacting them, so I think indiegogo@arrow.com will accomplish that one as well, which is great. One question about the prototype and kind of what stage a prototype needs to be in. So does your prototype have to be completed prior to contacting Arrow?
It does not. One thing that you guys know in working with Indiegogo is that Indiegogo altogether is very flexible and very entrepreneur friendly. They genuinely want to make sure that you can start raising money at any point, to whether you need to raise money to start building that prototype, whether you've got the prototype and you want to start getting into production. That's one of the key differentiators about Indiegogo when you look across the crowdfunding and startup support that a lot of these other platforms provide. So Indiegogo allows you to start raising money early, and our program, you don't have to have a prototype to get certified. You do need to have a design, and you do need to have a bill of materials vetted through with the engineering team. And that's another great thing about the Indiegogo platform and leveraging this partnership with Arrow, is that we have genuine engineers actually reviewing the design and actually reviewing it for feasibility. And so as much as I get to talk about this program, I'm not an engineer, so I rely on them too to help us actually vet through what things need to happen and how we can make these designs successful. So you don't have to have a prototype to join the program. You don't have to have a prototype to get certified, but you will have to have a design review and a design consultation with one of our engineers in order to achieve that level.
Great. We actually have a question kind of on the other side of the spectrum. So if folks are a little bit further along and maybe they've already kind of started locking down their manufacturing, is the program still relevant for them, and what might be available?
I would say absolutely, especially if you're going to use the Indiegogo platform to either raise money or do market validation. You know, a lot of times Indiegogo is not just about raising the money, it's about testing your products or testing your product iteration or building beta users. And with that, it always helps to get any additional support that you can have. The program's free, so you can earn the badge, put on your Indiegogo page. You'd still be eligible to potentially win flash funding. That would be something that would be very enticing. You get the $1,000 that you can use, and at this point, every dollar counts. So you get the $1,000 that you can apply to anything that you buy on our online platforms, and then you get connected with people to help you as you continue to ramp. So whether you need volume pricing, you're past it, you've chosen your CM, you're getting this going, but you want to make sure you're getting the best price available because, again, like I said, every dollar matters. You'd want to engage in our program, so we can look at that. We can look at your overall supply chain. We can talk through whatever challenges you may be facing. No matter if you're at this kind of place where you're starting to ship that first piece, are we sure you're getting the best cost? Are you getting the best margin? This is really what Arrow traditionally has been very solid in. And we continue to see value for these campaigners who join us even later in those stages, even when they're in their actual production level, really take advantage of the program and use it to continue to give validity to what they're designing and use it to kind of help them be more effective and get cost efficient in what they're trying to build out.
Awesome. Kind of going back to the kind of how fleshed out does a prototype need to be? If it's a software only product, you know, how kind of put together does the software app need to be in, and where kind of on the prototyping scale would a software app need to be in order to get in contact with Arrow?
Yeah, great question. So again, I want to just reiterate, it's never too early and it's never too late to get involved with Arrow. There's never a time where we're going to say you're not ready, or we can't talk to you, we haven't seen it yet, or we're not going to say, wow, man, you're too far for us to actually talk to you. We're excited to engage with you at any point. So if you're in the software development side and you're working towards getting that first working demo, and you're looking to kind of consider some of the things that we've talked about around your cloud network, your security around your app, your data storage, all of those things, we're happy to start talking about that very early and keep working on it. Now, you can't earn the badge until you actually have something that's got a working demo. And when you say, well, how working does it have to be? How much, if I click on it, do I have to show that it's getting there? And again, each case is going to kind of require us to look specifically at what you've created from a software-only standpoint, but it does need to have some working functionality before we can put the badge up there. So if it's absolutely not working at all, we probably still have some more work to do, and we can probably help you get going on that, but it's not that we're not willing to help you. We have to just get it to that point where it can earn certification. I think it's important to know that even if you don't have that certified badge, or you're not quite at the place where you've got a bill of materials that's working, or that's feasible, that doesn't mean that you can't enter into the program and start taking advantage of some of those early discounts and those early benefits, the engineering discussions, the BOM tool, the OrCAD tool, all of those things that we have provided for you. ultimately, they're all set up to help you get to the place where you have a bill of materials that's feasible. And then when you're there, we say, yeah, you are certified. And that too, from there on, we continue to work with you. We continue to connect you with somebody within our business that can just be there. Remember, as Susan was saying, it's like her project is our project, and she's working with somebody directly to just say, hey, as we continue to iterate, they're right there and talking with her about every challenge along the way. So there's never too early, never too late, and we're always happy to continue to work with you to achieve that certification, and then from certification and beyond.
Great. We had a couple questions about wanting links for any of the contests that we mentioned. So we will be sending out in our webinar follow-up email a link to the Arduino contest. The Win a Trip to CES contest will be launching very soon, so there will be links to that that all of you will definitely see kind of through that contest launch. So stay tuned for that one, but you'll definitely get kind of any of the links that we have live and we've spoken about on this webinar in the email follow-up. Switching gears a little bit to flash funding, we had a couple questions around kind of flash funding opportunities. So first, how often is flash funding awarded?
Great question. So we have done we've had two flash funding winners this year. Last year, it was kind of staggered, so we had it almost worked out to once a month. But at this time, it's been about once or twice a quarter. I think we're looking at trying to keep it at as much as we can to twice a quarter. But it is genuinely based on kind of the volumes and what we're looking at from the overall program entrance. And getting things live onto the site and whatnot. So the goal is to do at least twice a quarter, which is almost monthly, so it's almost every other month. And we continue to update that and work very closely with Indiegogo on our timelines for flash funding. So if I was to answer this very generically, it's about every other month.
Awesome. Sorry. I think we had a question around kind of how will we know if we get flash funding, and maybe I know you touched upon it a little bit earlier, but you can talk back through kind of how Arrow thinks about who to give flash funding to and what that process is.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So there are three things that you have to have to actually be eligible to win flash funding. We talked about it. One is getting certified. So that's getting to that place where you either have the working demo that we talked about in software, or you've got that bill of materials. I think probably if you take away anything from this, I've probably said that 1,000 times, so I'm sorry. So getting certified, and then the other one is being in an eligible geographic location that will be part in our terms and conditions, but basically it's US, Canada, and select European countries right now. And then the third thing is having a live campaign on Indiegogo. So if you meet those three criteria, then you are eligible to win. What happens is we take all of those and we put them together in a survey that goes out to all of Indiegogo employees and all of Arrow employees, which is a pretty large chunk of people. And then from there, basically, we're looking for the most innovative, the most marketable, and the biggest impact to people's lives. So if you are in that top and you end up winning, what ends up happening is we reach out to you individually, and we'll tell you that you have won flash funding. You were the one selected through this giant voting process, and all of it is in our terms and conditions if you're ever curious on all of the details behind that. But we would reach out directly to you. We'd ask you to keep it quiet until we announce it. So Susan has probably known for a couple of weeks, but she hasn't been allowed to talk about it until today. So that's been part of the challenge. And then we end up sending the money directly into your Indiegogo campaign once it's announced. So that's kind of the process of how it works. So we reach individually out to you if you are the winner. So you don't have to keep checking a billboard or keep looking somewhere. We reach out to you and make sure that's a pretty simple process.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Final question. So can an app or product that's already deployed and in the market apply to get Arrow certified?
It can. And we expect in many cases that does happen, because we talked about even some of these projects, and I can use Anywhere as an example. They had already started their first run of production and launched it into the market. I think they had their first 1,000 units out there. Joined the program and realized that there was a lot more that they could be doing with us and wanted our support, particularly through the Arrow certification program when they were going to keep launching things onto Indiegogo. So if your product or your app is already deployed and you are interested in getting any of the support that I've mentioned today, any of it resonates with you, whether it's cost evaluations, it's supply chain discounts, it's engineering consultation. It's just looking for somebody to bounce your idea off of and make sure you've thought things through. If any of that sounds interesting to you and you heard me tell you that it's completely free, you should absolutely take advantage of it. Join the program, start talking with someone today, and we'll do our best to kind of support wherever you're at in your product life cycle. So by all means, join, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Amazing. Thank you, Rachel. With that, I think we are wrapping up on questions. Thank you for your time. We're super excited that you were all able to join us today. If you do have any additional questions or follow-up questions, or just want to speak with an aero engineer, like I said, we'll be following up via email. The email follow-up will have kind of all of the necessary links that you'll need to get in touch with the right person at Aero and get that conversation started. So look out for that email, and be sure to ask any of your additional questions. With that, have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Rachel, and thanks, Susan.